Good evening, I'm the Game Tutor, and tonight I'm going to be listing my top games of 2019. Now, for those of you regulars, and I definitely inverted commas regulars, as recently there aren't really that many updates in the latter half of 2019. Now, this has largely been due to the fact that apart from work and increasing young children style family commitments, I actually have lost a little bit of interest and really think that 2019 has been quite a weak year for video games. Now, part of my New Year's resolution is to provide more regular updates, but first let's get to my games of the year for 2019. Now, as always, I'm going to list the games that I personally enjoyed the most in 2019, but please do remember that I've not played absolutely everything, and this is very much based on my own personal preference. Now, why we do generally focus on Switch and indie games, my game of the year list has always been included things that I've enjoyed throughout the year, despite what platform they appear on. Number 10, Luigis Mansion 3. Having been a large fan of the original and being slightly disappointed with the 3DS sequel, I went into Luigi's Mansion 3 with a little caution. I, however, was not disappointed, as Luigi's Mansion 3 on the Switch is an excellent adventure game that really scratched my itch in the latter part of the year where the landscape was fairly sparse. Number 9, Gears 5.
It's an invasion.
In a year where there was not a massive amount of compelling single-player games that really struck a chord with me, Gears 5 over-delivered in my opinion on a long-running franchise and was a game that proved that you do not always need to reinvent the wheel in order to produce a high-quality game. One thing I loved about the Gears franchise is how well it's replaced its main cast over the years, yet you still care about the new characters just as you did the old. The small amount of open world stuff really added to the gameplay and made it an excellent Xbox exclusive, but with the excellent Game Pass out there is absolutely no reason you shouldn't play. Number 8, Sayonara Wildhearts. Now, Sayonara Wildhearts is a very unusual game that I was not really prepared for, and in the end ended up playing it on Apple Arcade, but have since also played it on Switch. It's kind of an interactive music video, but while not a long experience, really is something I cannot recommend it more. It's really unusual, and if you've got any interest in music games or how video games in general, do yourself a favour and try it out. Number 7, What the Golf. Now, What the Golf is the game that I bought a new iPad just so that I could sign up to Apple Arcade in order to play. Originally played What the Golf at EGX just over a year ago, and it was one of my lasting memories of that show. Now, What the Golf is one of the most innovative and original experiences I've played all year, and if you're a fan of video games and video game history, then this really is a treat that you simply must play. Number 6, Resident Evil 2.
This may be a one-way ride.
Now, I know that Resident Evil 2 will be featuring much higher up most people's Game of the Year lists. And for me, Resident Evil 2 is a solid action game that, while delivering everything that was good the middle trilogy of mainline Resident Evil games, all I really want is Resident Evil 8 using the same style as 7. Now, I play games largely for the story. I've always found it difficult to really get into remakes, and even though while Resident Evil 2 is an absolutely excellent game that I would 100% recommend playing, especially for those of you that are fans of the series, this is why it doesn't feature higher on my list and why Link's Awakening is nowhere to be seen. Number 5, Gears Pop. Now, when I started this year, if you'd have told me that not one but 2 Gears of War games would feature on my Game of the Year list, then I would have been pretty shocked. Now, I'm not a massive mobile gamer, but I do often find myself normally once a year getting drawn into some kind of competitive PvP game type thing. Now, Gears Pop has definitely proven to be my go-to game when sat in a waiting room or whilst cooking dinner or whatever it might be. It provides a similar experience to Clash Royale, but in my opinion it's one of the most balanced PvP games on mobile out there. And as of recording, this non-overly bloated, with not endless reasons to spend money game, really is a game I can recommend and well worth your time. Number 4, Astral Chain. Now, I've always been a fan of Platinum games, and Astral Chain was a game that definitely took up a great deal of my attention in the middle of 2019. Had the annoying detective segments not been there, I feel it would have ranked even higher. But what in the end we got was an absolutely outstanding action game with a really good story that really did build on everything that has gone previous to it in the Bayonetta series, and has left Platinum Games with a lot of work to do in order to better it or equal it with the aforementioned Bayonetta 3, hopefully in 2020. Number 3, Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Now, I've had an on and off relationship with the Fire Emblem series over the past few years, but it really did return on fine form this year with 3 Houses. At first I was a little concerned about the school mechanic, but I got sucked in and ended up caring about the characters more than I have done in a video game for a long time, probably since Xenoblade 2. Along with this was an excellent battle system that really did keep me glued for hours of a full campaign. Number 2, Control. Control really stood out this year as the best single player story driven game I played. Set in a very interesting world with a kind of Twin Peaks X-Files vibe, with interesting mechanics and a story that gripped me from start to finish. This was also the game that, with its ray tracing on PC, really showed off the next generation of graphics. If it wasn't for the next game on the list, Control was pretty much close to my game of the year. Number 1, Slay the Spire. Now, I probably spent more time playing Slay the Spire this year than most other games combined. In fact, I played Slay the Spire pretty much right before I wrote this Game of the Year list, and will probably play Slay the Spire again this evening. Taking everything I like about roguelikes and combining it with deck building and card games, another personal favourite of mine, Slay the Spire is difficult and normally that doesn't, but there is something about the way it's so perfectly crafted and balanced that always tips the odds out of your favour, but never to the point you feel cheated or that things are unfair. Slay the Spire, in my opinion, was the best game I played this year, consistently held my interest, even though I've played other games. Roll on 2020. New round of consoles, a new life for PC with the new round of consoles. Let's see what Nintendo can do. Can't wait.